Hey guys, it's Meg. What's up? What's poppin'? Welcome to the podcast. Have you ever seen a chunky ring and wondered what could be in it? Well, some people have unfortunately found out. And you know what, guys? I went with it. I know originally I was like, maybe we'll do an episode on the superstition of the number 13 since this is season 13 and this coming out on October 13th. But then I was like, you know what? Poison rings just perfectly ties into last week's episode of poisonous plants. And if I'm on a certain list, I'm on a certain list. We're just going to go for it. Source number one I have is 4cs.gia.edu. And the article is called The Murky History of Poison Rings, and it was from October 26th of 2015. I'm also just going to apologize in advance. I feel like my voice still sounds funny. I'm recovering from being sick. But they said, this website, that poison rings could have originated in ancient India and the Far East. And then it eventually came to England where it was used. Maybe not in the way it was originally intended. But what is a poison ring? So it's a ring that traditionally has a very small container hidden under a hinged cover. And there was only certain people, when I was looking up facts about this, that could make it and could make it well. Because you need it to hold whatever you were putting inside and not spill out. For obvious reasons. It said that ancient Romans, I'm definitely going to have to put this under as not PG-13, I guess. I don't know. There's like certain words that you're supposed to know. I don't really know what I'm doing here, guys. Making it very clear. But ancient Romans sometimes would use these rings to, like, on themselves. They would use the rings on themselves. They would use it to, commit, starts with an S, when there was a painful death that couldn't be avoided. So here are some examples of people who used the ring on themselves. So Pliny the Elder. I feel like we talked about him earlier this season. He was from 23 to 79 CE. He apparently talked about a Roman government official who escaped torture by drinking the poison in his own ring. Then there was teenage Emperor Heliogabalus. He was from 203 CE to 222 CE. He was so scared that his cruelty and, we're going to say the word pleasures, would get him in trouble. So he would wear the ring just in case something happened. He would just drink the poison himself. But unfortunately, he ended up getting killed before he could use it. Now, there's a rumor that in the 21st century, I'm pretty sure that's what we're in. I actually didn't look that up. Maybe Editing Meg can come in. Hey, what's up? It's Editing Meg. So we are in the 21st century. The 21st century started on January 1st, 2001. And we'll go through December 31st, 2100. Thank you for that. 21st century archaeologists in Bulgaria discovered a bronzed ring with a secret compartment. Now, they believe, it's not 100% confirmed it seemed, that it could have belonged and been used by, I can't remember my own hearing, Dobrotista? It's Dobrotitsa, who was alive from 1347 to 1386. They were the ruler of I needed to look up how to pronounce things and I didn't. Despot of Dobrija. And it said that they used this against an influential family in the Kalakra fortress. We all know I just butchered everything there. But you know what? I'm owning up to it. And I'm not even going to try to change it to an easier word to say. There's also, which we're going to talk about her in my second source too, but there's Lucrezia Borgia? Might be Borgia. She's from 1480 to 1519, and she was an Italian noblewoman and the only daughter of Pope Alexander VI. And it is said that she was extremely, extremely good at using poison rings, especially for getting rid of political rivals. And we're going to talk about her in our second source because she actually changed the way of things in Italy to this day. Now, when it comes to poison rings, it said that they are extremely difficult to use because not only do you have to disguise the taste of poison that you're putting into the drink, but you also have to make sure that the small dose you're using is powerful enough to be fatal. And so victims of the poison rings were actually very few, fatalities, because people weren't getting the dosages right, so they were just like basically getting them sick instead. Other names for poison rings are pillbox, compartment, locket, or vessel. Now, I know it's called a poison ring nowadays, and I just said a lot of crazy bad things that happen with these rings, but they didn't always just hold poison. In the Middle Ages, they were often used to hide relic of saints, like bits of hair, bone, or even teeth. I think, I'm going to be honest, it's going to be mean, I think that's weirder than the poison. They were also thought to have protected the wearer from various things. I wrote words that I don't know the meaning of, so I think I'm just going to not say them. I actually got calamities and maladies. I'm guessing that means bad things and good things. I looked up what those two words mean. So calamities means an event causing great and often sudden damage or distress, or a disaster. And maladies means a disease or ailment. Basically, it was just protecting the wearer. It's kind of like a talisman. And then during the Renaissance, because, they didn't really shower, because they didn't have like soap and stuff like that, they were actually used the whole cologne to like help people smell better. And sometimes they even held locks of hair or portraits of loved ones. Now, source number 2 there was so many sources out there, but a lot of them were just repeating the same information. This one did have some of the same information, but it also had some facts we didn't talk about. So this source is Hessitner, HESSHEITNER.com, and the article was called Pick Your Poison, A Brief History of Deadly Jewelry, and it was originally posted December 15th of 2024. So, fun fact, Miss Cleopatra, yes, that Cleopatra, used many different poisons which she tested on condemned prisoners to see which was the fastest and most reliable. And then, do you remember Lucrezia Borgia, that woman? The Italian noblewoman, you remember her? To this day in Italy, when you're pouring someone a drink, if you're holding the bottle with the back of the hand facing downward, it is called the trader's way of pouring, because that's how people with poison rings used to pour. When they poured it that way, they could just discreetly unclasp their ring to pour the poison in at the same time, and then reclose the ring without anybody noticing. Kind of like a little magic trick. And then in the 16th century, they became super popular in Europe, especially with the queen at the time, because she had one that she would put portraits in, and then she was very big on mourning jewelry. And I feel like we talked about that in a previous podcast episode. I just don't remember what it was called. I'm pretty sure we talked about mourning jewelry in the locket episode from season 9, episode 3, if you want to go back and listen to that. And then Verdi used a ring as the way Lady Lenora dies in the opera 2 Trovatore. And then this is actually crazy to me, insane, but a lot of times they used arsenic in the rings, and it was because it was so popular and so easy to get that it was actually nicknamed the widow's divorce, because women were using it on their husbands. And then my last fun fact from this website is during Louis the Roman numerals, I want to say this is 14. Pretty sure this is the 14th. He had a scandalous affair known as L'Affaire des Poisons, where 367 orders of arrest were issued. 218 were carried out. So they arrested 218 people out of the 367. And then out of the 218 people that were arrested, 36 were executed. And you want to know the crazy part about the 36? It wasn't the random person on the street that they were arresting for poisoning people. It was prominent members of the aristocracy. I can't talk today, so we're just gonna stop there. But yeah, isn't that crazy? I think poison rings are so interesting, especially because a lot of them look so beautiful. They just look like a chunky cocktail ring, which nowadays a lot of people wear them for. Like, a lot of companies are recreating poison rings, just not for that purpose. Some people actually use the poison ring to hold like a pill in it, like if they need like acetaminophen, for example. They'll put that in there, and then sometimes they'll put like cologne and perfume in there like last time. Like, people aren't really using poison rings for their old ways they were known for. And that will lead me into this week's episode. What? I was supposed to say what we did last season of Deep or Dumb. We're not doing Deep or Dumb anymore because we decided that was dumb. We're now doing affirmation cards, so let me go get my deck. And This Spooktober, we're using Whispering Woods, Enchanting Secrets from the Forest by Jessica Lee. And now let's cue some ASMR shuffling that's never ASMR shuffling, but maybe one day it will be. It is also so hard to shuffle in this closet. And the cards have like a gloss on it, so they're kind of shiny. I almost just dropped everything. And I did. Everything's fine. This is 2 for 2. Remember last week we did an episode on poisonous plants and our affirmation was about strength and being like rooted in something? This week, let's cue the drum roll. Reconnect. Secrets lurk in the captive shadows deep in the woods. That goes perfectly with that podcast episode. So, the next time that you're seeing a chunky ring that has a compartment in it, just know, in the past, it might have been used for something a little devious, but today, you can literally use it for anything. Thank you for tuning into this week's episode of Hey Guys, It's Meg. Make sure to follow Hey Guys, It's Meg _podcast on Instagram for updates and good times. Come back next week for another episode of Spooktober where we're going to talk about some phantom cities. I think. At least I hope. I'll see you all on the flip side. Peace out, Girl Scouts.